Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 26th in our series of Tea Tuesday events and the 9th of 2022. My name is Hilary Woodhead. I am NAPA's Executive Director, and I am delighted to host these live events, which enable me to drink tea. In fact, I've got coffee today, I'm cheating, and chat with industry experts who just happen to also be exceptional people. This is a special edition of Tea Tuesday in celebration of NAPA's National Day of Conversation and Connection. This day was launched exactly 2 years ago, and it began this series of monthly events that have been free to attend every Tuesday, one Tuesday of every month since then. And over this time, Tea Tuesday has welcomed 26 guests and reached thousands of care and activity providers. So we are very, very proud of this series of events. And if you'd like to watch again, look again at any of those individual episodes, you can do that in NAPA TV in the shed on the NAPA website. This is a free event. If you would like to make a small donation, perhaps the price of a cup of tea or coffee, you can do so by text on our donate page. My colleague Gianna will share the details of how to do that along the bottom of this screen. This is a live event and it is being streamed across several channels. All comments and questions are gathered centrally, so please do pop them in the chat on the channel that you are watching this on, and we will do our best to gather them and to answer them live during the session this afternoon. You will need to enable StreamYard, so you'll see a link in the chat of how to do that in order for us to see your name, so just so you're aware of that. So today, in celebration of NAPA's National Day of Conversation and Connection, I am delighted to be chatting and drinking tea or coffee with our very own Natalie Ravenscroft. Natalie is NAPA's Wellbeing Support Manager. She is a consultant activity provider and a wellbeing practitioner who has worked for many years as an activity provider in care homes. She now supports hundreds of activity providers in practice as the manager of NAPA's free activity support service. She's going to tell us a little bit more about the activity support service in a minute, but one of the things that we wanted to do this afternoon was we wanted to respond to questions that have come into the support service and the support line over the last year or so around this topic of conversation and connection. So who better to do that than with Natalie? So hi Natalie, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining me. It's for afternoon tea, because it is afternoon tea. Have you got your cuppa?
I certainly have, and I've got it in my special Frenchy mum mug today.
Lovely, thank you for that. And we are getting ready here at NAPA for afternoon tea week next week. So it's very apt that we're having afternoon tea together this afternoon. We have launched a series of free activity resources or to inspire afternoon tea week activities in care settings. These are completely free to use, to download for any care and support setting across the UK. And you can access those on the NAPA website. We have a dedicated web page all to do with afternoon tea week. And the main resource was very generously supported by Lakeland Dairies. They have enabled us to provide this free of charge so that you can access it, use it during afternoon tea week, but of course for afternoon tea any day of the week, any day of the year. So thank you very much to Lakeland Dairies for their support. We're also very excited to be looking forward to our concert next Monday that will launch afternoon tea week. If you haven't got your ticket yet, don't miss out, get your ticket. The ticket is £25 and that is for every single setting. So you can watch it as many times as you like, whenever you like, after that live event at 3 o'clock next Monday. So you can pop over to the Eventbrite page and purchase your ticket. And we may have a few free tickets to give away this afternoon. So if you're joining us live, please tell us who you are in the chat, and you may well be in with a chance of winning an afternoon tea concert ticket for next Monday afternoon. So without further ado, let's get chatting. Natalie, can you say a little bit, please, about yourself and about the Activity Support Service?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Hilary. I almost feel like you've given me a lovely introduction there at the beginning, so thank you for that. I've been an activity provider for 13 years, and I've worked right throughout the pandemic as an activity provider and many other roles, just like everyone else. I'm a passionate advocate for person-centred wellbeing and activity programmes, but I'm a strong campaigner for the roles of activity providers to be professionalised. So one of the main roles here that, as you mentioned, Hilary, I work towards is the support services within NAPA. And the support services are different areas here that range from a free confidential support line. So you can contact us direct over the telephone, Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. And if we're on another call, please do leave a message. We do respond to them as quickly as possible. We also have an email option, so you can drop some emails in to supportline@napa-activities.co.uk. And we also have had recently requests for Zoom calls, a 30-minute Zoom call, which has helped a lot of people to have that face-to-face support service. We also run on the third Monday of every month the Support and Share Network. The Support and Share Network is a great opportunity. It's free, it's online, you book your ticket to Eventbrite, and you can join other activity providers from around the UK. The range is really wide. Some people work in care services, some people work in hospitals, and some people just work within the community. But you're more than welcome to come along to that, book your free space, and each month you, the activity providers, decide on the following subject for the month after. At NAPA, the support services are supported by NAPA team members, and all of them members have experience of practice of working as an activity provider within the care service. So we have lots of knowledge. We love to have a chat, and while we're not a crisis line, we are here to offer information, advice, guidance, and seek equipment or information that you might need to help you with your wellbeing programs.
Brilliant. Thank you, Natalie. That's really helpful. And I think one of the things that we're really proud of at NAPA is that everything we do is in response to the people we support. So if there is anything that anybody needs out there, please let us know. Whatever you need to be able to prioritise wellbeing in terms of activity ideas, resources, training and development opportunities, we really are here to respond to what you need. So please get in touch and let us know. And let us know if you've used any of those services, how they helped, how they informed your practice, and if there's any particular feedback that you might want to share with us. We're learning all the time, all of us, aren't we? So please keep in touch with us and let us know your thoughts. So today, Natalie, we're talking about conversation and connection, as it's our National Day. And I know that this is a topic that's very close to your heart, having worked for many years with people with dementia, people with learning disabilities, and some of the challenges that some of those individuals have faced when it came to communicating and engaging in activity and engagement. So can you just say a little bit about why you think this is a hot topic for activity providers and why we get so many questions into the activity support service about conversation and connection?
I think mainly, Hilary, the main thing is we use conversation to find out information about individuals. What they like, is something going well that we're doing or providing? Are they happy? Are they sad? Do they have something they want to talk about? Do they feel connected to us? Moving into a care service environment is very daunting. So I think that the key reason why we get these questions is because activity providers are trying to build a person-centred activity wellbeing programme for them individuals. I think the more you talk to someone, the more you bond with them. The joy of connecting, we make new friends. Life can reward us by creating a community within a community. And without conversations, relationships can often fade, and it's important to try and keep friends and families connections alive through conversation. And where the conversations are vibrant, the relationship's vibrant. You know, conversations are a handy tool, as I just mentioned, for finding out more information. For example, discussing someone's travel experiences can give you tips on an activity session or food-based activities, and reminiscence, which makes that individual feel included. I think conversations can also make you laugh. They can be fascinating. You know, we hear constantly about the creative writing resource, which is in one of our calendars, and it's just an image. And some of the stories that we get sent in from use of that resource, it really does make you chuckle, because they steer the story, and it cheers you up. So I think most people enjoy talking about themselves. And I think when you have the time to listen, you're demonstrating appreciation. Um, you also, all day, you know, everything, but you know, they value your perspective. So when people don't talk, sometimes it can lead to assumptions. You know, the communication's not there. It can lead to a misunderstanding. Um, and when someone's living in a care service, that communication there is also vital. So there's a lot of reasons there, Hilary, why we get these questions that come through all the support services around conversation and connection.
That's really interesting that you mentioned listening, because I think that's really important. And I remember years and years and years ago going on some communication training. It's probably too many years ago to mention, actually, Natalie, but some communication training as an activity coordinator myself nearly 30 years ago. And it's really stuck with me because we talked about the art of conversation, but the key skill that was really emphasized was actually not talking but listening. And that's always really, really stayed with me, because I love to chat and I can fill a silence. But actually learning how to listen is absolutely key, isn't it, to conversation and connection? I think sometimes we feel, particularly as those of us who are responsible for engagement, that there needs to be conversation, there needs to be noise for there to be connection. And that's not necessarily true, is it? That actually sometimes the most powerful connections that we experience as practitioners is where there is a silence, a silent conversation between people. It can be incredibly powerful, can't it? And giving people the chance to respond, the time to respond, where the nature of the conversation may change and the speed at which the conversation may you know, the speed of the conversation may change, but actually the connection is what's important in all of that. And so I'm really pleased you mentioned listening in your response, because I think we don't talk about listening enough. It should be the National Day of Conversation, Connection and Listening, perhaps, to remind us that it's as important as the chat.
And I think it can, and you're absolutely right. I mean, my name's Natalie, and I often get a nickname Natterbox Nat, because similarly to you, Hilary, I love to share life experiences, and I think, oh, there's a solution for that. One of the lessons I've had to learn personally, and I think this can relate to a lot of individuals working with people that have dementia specifically, or maybe you know, learning support needs, is that silence, that moment, that awkward silence where you've got to allow for a response to come through. And again, if you're working with someone who lives with Parkinson's, is also another prime example. They have to try and bring that answer forward. And sometimes if you get to 5 in your head and they've not responded, count to 5. That was always a rule I was taught in training. Count to 5 and then re-ask the question. Don't answer it for them. And I put that into practice many years ago, and I share that now from the support service. It's okay to have that silence, and active listening as well. You know, active listening is so important. Ask yourself this question if you're watching this. I had a phone interview yesterday with a gym, trying to be fit before 40, and it was a phone interview. He absolutely relayed everything back to me what I'd said. And I made a comment at the end, and I said to him, wow, you're really good at active listening. And he said, I've never been told that before. But when people speak back about what you've spoken about, and we do that a lot within the support services because we do listen, it feels nice. You feel valued, you feel appreciated. So listening and that golden silence is fine. It's okay.
It's a really important part of connection, I think. So yeah, thank you for raising that. I hadn't thought that would come up, but I'm really pleased. I'm really, really pleased that it did. So let's go to some of the questions that you've been gathering over recent months. We may have some questions in the chat as well, of course. So this first one is from Siobhan. I am new to this role of activity assistant, and most of my residents have dementia. I find it really hard to talk to them. Some you can have a chat with, but others walk away or do not respond. How can I connect with them and have a conversation? Oh, thank you, Siobhan. That's a great question. I mean, what comes to mind immediately for you, Natalie, with that one?
The first thing is, this is a very common question that we have all the time coming through, specifically around dementia and individuals that might not want to sit and have a conversation. It depends. It goes back to the individual themselves. And I think knowing an individual's life history first and foremost. I'm not going to want to talk to you about cars, but I would love to talk to you about the Tudors. So what conversations are you having? And also the individual's environment, what is going on around them? What is stimulating them? If they don't want to sit and walk, that's absolutely fine. Walk with them. But there's got to be some form of interest there, I suppose, to start that initial engagement. And you will find that out by gathering that information of that individual. Sometimes people with dementia, they're looking for something. They're too busy to talk. They want to go and do what they're doing. Or they could also be in pain. Someone sitting there might be in a little bit of pain and discomfort, and they're not in the mood to chat, or just generally they might not want to. But reminiscence-based activities as well is another great tool. So when you've gathered your life history, here we are, where we've just brought that up. It's a brilliant tool. Please do download this. So when you've gathered the life history information, using that to build on reminiscence, and this question on the call line was very vivid in my memory, where the person that they were talking about was a gardener, and they didn't have a garden as such within this care setting. So we looked at an indoor garden, and how we brought them objects in and how they created propagators. And that in its turn got this individual to come along and kind of connect. So there is many ways that we can do this, but start with life history first, life story.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good place to start. And I think also for those of you who are NAPA members, just a reminder that there are thousands of resources in the shed around supporting people with dementia. All of the team at NAPA have worked extensively with people living with dementia. And so all of our resources are adaptable to be used with people with dementia. Oh, look at Gianna's just on fire, isn't she? Thank you, Gianna, in the background, popping up these great resources. Dementia Engagement Activity Resource Pack. There's lots of information in here. This resource we're particularly proud of. We wrote it in collaboration with our advisor who is living with dementia, Chris Maddox, who gave us some great support and advice from her perspective around the importance of engagement from her perspective, living with dementia, but also what she might want in the future should she need care and support, such as a care home. So it's very informed by our relationship with Chris and her experiences. So if you haven't had a look at that, please do, Siobhan, because I think it does remind us that actually people who are living with dementia are people who are living, and they have lots of experiences, and they have lots of opinions, and they have lots of life history. And if we can work with them to develop their life story, then we're going to be able to make connections. The other thing that obviously Gianna's just sharing there is the Not Just Common Sense resource, which is a sensory engagement resource. So if you're working with people in the later stages of dementia, Siobhan, just be aware that there may be complex care and support needs, complex communication issues. So you're thinking more about kind of sensory engagement and sensory activities, and there's lots of guidance in this resource that will help you with that. And this resources, and the life story and reminiscence resources are all free on our website. Anybody can access these, but they're a good starting point, I think. They can really help you to think creatively, and then you're off then thinking about other activities that might support your residents. But as Natalie said, absolutely, we very strongly believe that Life Story is a very good place to start. Of course, for some people, gathering Life Story may be really, really difficult. So you start today. What you notice today about somebody, what you observe about them, the things that they like and they don't like, you know, that's your starting point can be this afternoon if other information is not accessible. So, you know, it doesn't have to be about someone's childhood, about their early life, about their, you know, their working years, whatever it might be. It can all start from today if necessary as well. And that it's a live document. We're learning about people all the time because people are changing all the time. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that. It's something we're very passionate about at NAPA. We could talk about supporting people with dementia all day, and we often do. So if you have any other questions or any resource requirements, please do get in touch, and we'll do what we can to support you. The next question is from Lee. Thank you for this one. This is particularly pertinent given the summer months, I think, and all the celebrations we've had recently. It's actually Pride weekend in Brighton this weekend. Wow. So we're all looking forward to Pride this weekend. Lee's saying, I am a gay man working as a lifestyle coordinator. This year I wanted to celebrate Pride. This is obviously National Pride in June. I'm not sure how an older generation would respond to this. How would you recommend we start these conversations? I think it's important to be seen as supporting everyone, and we may even have some LGBT residents, which we don't know about, although everyone says no one here is gay. So yeah, there's quite a lot in this one, Lee. Thank you. Do you want to respond to that, Natalie? Anything in particular that you'd like to say there to Lee?
Yeah, again, this is the last 12 months, LGBT plus information, guidance and resources has been a hot topic in the support services. In fact, we dedicated a support and share network specifically to this. And Lee, thank you for being honest, because that is a conversation that we hear quite a lot, and it's another thing we can get into, that no one here is gay. But we wouldn't know that if we wasn't supporting sessions that could instigate them conversations. I just want to take you back to the NAPA calendar in June this year and last year. We were delighted to have some support again, co-produced with Mike, who is NAPA's LGBT plus advisor, and he has written some great top tips. Michael, please do go and have a look. And also in there, specifically a resource that jumps out to mind is My Flag, My Pride. And this resource came about from a conversation where someone was asking a very similar question. How can I run a Pride activity without it being physically about LGBT plus? And they went away and we discussed some ideas, and we talked about doing, you know, what was the Pride flag? What did it symbolize? And how adapting that to an individual session about, I don't know, Hilary, what would your Pride flag look like? It'd be full of colours for musicals, maybe, and decor.
Lots of sausage dogs, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. And they went away and they did this session, and I specifically remember them coming back. And we did share it, and they'd done a session with a gentleman whose son was gay but had not come out to him. And during this session, his Pride flag apparently was about walking, his walking groups. It was green, blues, yellows, all about the elements. And there was images just of the Pride flags about. And he said he recognised that flag. This was pre-COVID. Said that they recognised the flag, and they spoke about it. And he said, you know, well, if people want to be gay, they can be what they want. As long as they're nice people, it doesn't bother me. And the activity provider fed this back to that family member, and he cried. And he found the courage to have a conversation with his son, to his dad, sorry. And yeah, that was how he came out to his father. So it doesn't have to be, if you want the words in your face, this is what we're doing. It can be very subtly done, just the same as any other activity, really, you know.
I think it is about inclusion, isn't it? And it's about providing the safe space to enable people to share information about themselves, but also to have conversations that might be challenging as well, and for people to feel safe enough to be able to do that and to talk through some of their concerns and their worries. And I think that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? In terms of starting those conversations, enabling people to feel safe, recognizing the history as well, because I think without recognizing the LGBT history, that in somehow it doesn't value people's experience, and so we might make assumptions about people, about how out they want to be or not, but actually are inappropriate. So it must be led by the individual, but we can create the circumstances and the atmosphere to enable people to feel comfortable, can't we? And there are lots of support organisations. Please get in touch with us. We can put you in touch with Mike, who provides lots of resources, lots of training around this topic. But also we worked very, very closely with Body Positive as well. So there are lots of organisations opening doors that are doing great work in this area. So we're not the experts on LGBT inclusion, but we are certainly very committed to developing resources that will support you in terms of activity provision.
And
so
if I was going to say, if anyone's had any events or done any sessions or anything like that, we would love to hear from you. Please share and shout. We are delighted with what we see on social media, but we'd increasingly like more of you to share that with us, that best practice.
Definitely. Okay, so we're going to go to one now, another question in the chat. This one is from Tegan. I find it hard to connect with residents from different countries. I don't know much about them. We have a man from Nigeria at the moment who has dementia. I find it so hard to understand songs or words he says, and I've tried to Google stuff, but it's all overwhelming. Do you have any advice on where I can find something that will help me? Okay, that's a great question, Tegan. Thank you. What in terms of where to start? Good place to start. Google's a good place to start.
It is, and I think everyone's tool too is Google. Because that's what we use in our daily lives personally when we want to find something out, or YouTube or TikTok. But NAPA has listened, and NAPA has responded, and we have also, as we keep mentioning, you'll keep seeing a pattern here that we co-create, that we're not the experts, and we respond to what you guys want, and we go and seek that expert advice. And last October, the NAPA October edition of the calendar celebrated Black History Month, as it will do again this October. And in that was some fantastic pieces and information and guidance written by Chino, who is a NAPA trustee. Chino Wills Cole, you can see here, and he's got some great information as a starting point. And then throughout the calendar itself, you will find at the top right hand corners little bits of information around celebrations of influential people throughout Black history who when we was building this resource, it was so interesting. It was like a whole lesson. I'm not kidding. It literally, we was learning, all of us, as we were developing this. And there's little bits of information there as well for it to go along. This year is going to be about celebration for Black History Month. So a celebration of influential historic figures. So go and have a look at that. And as I mentioned, read what Chino has written. It really does make you think, about food and even terminology, words that we would use, that other cultures, we're speaking specifically here about Nigeria in response to the question, but we've had people call through the support line service because someone from Germany's moved in, or someone from China or India, and they're not too sure on what kind of cultural approaches are correct, why they won't come to certain activities, but they'll come to others. So constantly come and ask us them questions, because it's a learning day every day for us, just like it is for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I really like that, and I think also ask each other. You know, we say, don't we? You know, ask members of your team, your multidisciplinary team, your community. You know that it's yes, we want to look outwards, we want to share experience, but ask the people that you're supporting. You know, ask this man Tegan that you're working with. Ask his family. You know, they will know, he will know himself, they will know the best ways to respond and communicate with him and have a conversation with him. And I think, you know, saying it's hard to understand the songs or the words that he says, listen, you know, if you listen to them together, and find, you know, find the music that he enjoys, then that's a really, really good place to start. We talk a lot about life history, but also music is a big part of life history, isn't it? And if you've got a way in there, he's giving you songs. You might not understand the words, but he's providing the music himself, isn't he? And then it's just our job to kind of to connect with that, which is, you know, he's giving you the starting point here, I think. So brilliant, thank you, and thank you for sharing that resource. And as Natalie said, we do work very closely with Chino. Chino runs his own organisation called DECO, which is all about supporting people from Black and ethnic minority communities to receive a diagnosis of dementia and the support that's required subsequently. And so we work very closely with him as an advisor on Black history, but he also helps us generally around our equality, diversity and inclusion work. So again, if you would like to be in touch or to find out more about our work with Chino, please let us know. So the next question is about meal times. This is a big topic. This is a Tea Tuesday all of its own as well, as they all are. Meal times are hard for us. This is from Mike. Any tips on getting conversations flowing in the dining room? We're focusing on eating, aren't we, in the dining room? What's the place of conversation in the dining room, do you think? Any thoughts on that one, Natalie?
I think there's so many opportunities. I think there's so many golden opportunities when it comes to dining room. Quite often through you know, conversations and experience, sometimes the dining room can be a really flat environment, even though we're providing nutritional meals. And I think many of the things that I've heard that has been best practice approaches are conversation cards, you know, just a couple on the table, some tactile objects. It could be a little bistro tub, and then visual objects around them. And in some of the NAPA packs, we have some great conversational image cards, and you can use them as placemats. So if you're having a fish Friday, for example, have some lovely images of the beach as placemats. You know, laminate them. You can reuse them. Okay, you're going to pay a cost once for the printing and laminating them. That's it. And gather them back up, hole punch them, keep them in a folder. And similarly, if you're having a pasta evening, you know, pictures of Italy. They're all going to involve. That is the most simplest thing I could say is images, because in a sense, everyone can connect with an image. But anything like that, and music. Think about your environment, how you connect with your environment. Can the staff just wear something, a hat or a headband, something different that starts that conversation? You know, and like I said, lighting, making sure that people that are together are kind of similar support needs, where they can then connect and engage together. And you know, individuals that might need a one-to-one more, that staff members are there with them. You know, so I think it's a concoction of things, and I do think it's a topic we could talk about all day, Hilary.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes we worry about having too much stimuli, don't we, in a dining room that might get in the way of people eating well. And that's a really important consideration as well, isn't it? That we don't want to overwhelm people with too much competing stimuli, because that will reduce their ability to eat well. But at the same time, we want people to enjoy that experience. And if they're enjoying themselves, then they're more likely to eat well as well. This is a positive mealtime experience, and it's getting that balance, and that will be different for everybody. I couldn't think of anything worse than having my dinner on my knee in front of the telly. But I'm married to somebody who quite enjoys doing that, so we have to compromise. You know, we all have different dining experiences, and what we consider to be an optimal dining experience is very, very personal, isn't it? And those need to change as well over time. So, yeah, in terms of conversation, again, be led by the person. Does the person seem to want to chat? You know, are they leading the conversation, or they become very quiet and withdrawn during meals? And then try different things to respond to them and their level of engagement. But I think the conversation cards are a great starting point. We have a whole range in the shed, a whole range of creativity packs on lots of different topics. And they all have kind of, as Natalie said, images in them that stimulate conversation, that just give you a starting point, because we can run out of ideas, can't we? Things to talk about sometimes. And they are a really good, and again, they just give you an idea and then you're off, and you can, you'll be thinking of your own ideas in no time, but they're there for you to use, so please do. Okay, so this next question, it's similar to what I've just said, really. This is about getting stuck for new ideas from Gemma. We talk about the same things. I get a little stuck as to what to talk about, end up talking about the same things every day. Any thoughts about this every day, something new every day?
Yeah.
How can we do there to help people think on their feet, have something up their sleeve to be able to talk about?
I think really quickly, we've just probably a little bit touched on this in the last question. So you can see it's a popular occurrence that comes through. Go to the NAPA calendar. The NAPA calendar is fantastic. Every day it's got something different in it, and the resources at the top have a little bit of a paragraph that invokes a conversation, has a little bit of a history. There's lots of ideas. So here, we talk about air drying clay, and this is, by the way, is our September calendar. I'm probably jumping the gun here, Hilary, but it's celebrating our National Day of Arts in Care Homes. This is phenomenal. This calendar is September, and going back to what the original question was, if you're looking for something to conversate about, we're just doing that now, looking at this calendar. Pull out the resources, pull out the images, and utilize them to invoke a conversation, because every day is a national day, believe it or not.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much, isn't there, in the calendar? And as we said, we want you to be able to take these ideas and make them your own. So it isn't necessarily, it's not necessarily about doing every activity as it's written. Of course, you can do that, but sometimes it just inspires you to think about something that you might not have thought about for that day. And as you said, those national days, those international days, our colleagues in America, in the States, they've got, I think, hundreds of national days every day.
Every day.
Inspire your activity, can't it, for that day, and inspire the conversation. And I think also we shy away from current affairs, don't we? We really do. We worry about people watching the news. We worry about them reading the headlines because, the news often isn't particularly positive. But people have lived a life. They've lived through tough times. They want to reflect and talk about tough times, share their opinion. This is give people a chance to share what their thoughts and feelings about some of the news items. And that's really, really important too. There's great organisations out there that can help you with that. Some of those NAPA recognised suppliers like Picture News, they're really focused on headlines, current affairs, giving you the resources, the skills, but also the ideas for things to talk about. So really, really important. I love that picture of the recycled fashion show. I think that's
someone does it.
Calendar. Isn't that brilliant?
I hope someone does it. If you do, please do this activity for London Fashion Week. It's about recycled fashion, and as you can see there, there's a dress made out of newspaper. We do hear of fashion shows that happen within your services. Please shout out to NAPA if you do this, or tag us. We are so excited about this one. We'd love to see how creative you get.
Yeah, definitely. I think with all of them, that one really caught my eye. This September, the September calendar, I just thought, it was just brilliant. And that's what I mean. You'll open it and I think they're all great, but there'll be one or two that you just think, oh, wow, I haven't tried that. What a great way to start a conversation and to connect with, particularly with new residents that you're getting to know. Especially London, outrageous, but disgraceful. Have a go at it, see what people think.
That London Fashion Week one again is a conversation itself, because you might take that and you might not want to that activity, but you might think, do you know what? I'm going to do a reminiscence session on fashion throughout the years. So they are just as a guide, but please do use them if you can.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm just really aware of the time, and we've got quite a lot of questions to get through, so I'm going to try and race through some of these because I don't want to miss them. Thank you everybody for your questions; they're great. Ruth says, I love all these resources. Thank you, Ruth. I have just joined NAPA, and you have so much in the shed. We certainly do, Ruth. Yes, I love the name too. How do I know where to find the resources specific to conversation and connection? Yeah, any thoughts on that one? I mean, I suppose all the resources are specific to conversation and connection, but anything particular in terms of a starting point, Natalie, anything, any of the guides or anything that you think help people that are either new to the role or are thinking about, where to start?
Yeah, we in the shed, Ruth, go under in the toolbox. And if those of you who are watching are wondering what is the toolbox, what is the shed, come and have a look at the NAPA website or ring the support line, and I'm more than happy to talk you through it. It's the members only area. As Hilary mentioned, we have thousands of resources, but in there is a toolbox that has tips and tools. Whether you're a new starter, whether you're someone that just wants to refresh, and also, have a look at the training pathway that is within NAPA. It's great to upskill or find out more information on how you connect and conversate with individuals that you support in your setting.
Yeah, and just on induction as well, Natalie, I think that's a good point actually, just to raise that now, I think, is that we do have a whole range of induction resources. So if you're new to the role or you're new to the NAPA membership, do make the most of those. So if you're a NAPA member, you can access a whole range of resources as part of your membership. If you're not a NAPA member, there are still resources that you can download free. And so what we've done is we've actually, a number of our guides, we have refreshed this year. They're in second edition. They've just been published. So this one is around inclusive practice. This is an introduction to activity provision. It is a starting point. This is free to everybody. So if you'd like a copy of this, please just drop us a line and we'll make that available to you. We'll send you a free copy of that. And the other inclusive practice guides that are now in second edition are being published, relaunched this week, are the planning guide and also a manager's guide. So they're available in our shop. So if you'd like to access those, you can download those from the shop, and we'd love to know what you think. But they are really good starting points. And I think if you're new in post, Ruth, or if you're new to NAPA and you're trying new things, having that essential resource to help support you to have conversations with your manager can be really, really important, and for your manager too. So the manager's guide is a good starting point as well. Just moving us on a little bit, just time-wise. I just wondered if you wanted to say a little bit about any other questions that come up that perhaps we haven't focused on just yet. I mean, one of the things that, and we've responded to. So what about birthdays, for example? So we had a lot, didn't we? A lot of calls that came in around birthdays and celebrating birthdays. And what did we do in response? So do you want to say a little bit about this? Because this was we got lots of questions about birthdays, didn't we?
Yeah, we also have point out where most of this came from was we have a NAPA support closed Facebook group. Please do head over and join us. Probably some of you are currently watching over there. I hope you are. And it's a great sharing place. But one of the questions we've constantly seen getting asked was, it's someone's birthday, what can I do? Any ideas for a birthday party? And as usual, in response here at NAPA, being responsive organisation, we are delighted to share with you the NAPA resource pack for birthdays. This has so much information. It's, again, going back to the conversation and connecting. It's not just about how to celebrate a birthday. It's got the history of birthdays. Where did it start? It's got how to reminisce, things to think about, birthdays from around the world. I love how Jan is keeping in line with me here. This is great. And then we've also got, there's Chino, and then milestone birthdays. And that not just the individual, but what about their loved ones and family members who are celebrating milestones? How to celebrate, what ideas can you do, and birthday presents. I love that saying, it's a football, because it's what everyone says as a joke, but ideas for buying birthday presents. And then lastly, something that it was close to us and is often asked, how do we support individuals that are celebrating birthdays of people that they love which have passed? And there's a lovely piece here written by Dr. Denise Turner. Again, we're not the experts, but we do seek the people that are to help co-create these resources for you. So please do have a look at that. And then if Jana keeps, are you going to keep looking? We've got activity ideas. Just putting you under pressure there. Sorry, Jana. And a beautiful, I must do a shout out here to Lizzie, who has written, an activity provider, who has written a beautiful idea on a birthday trolley. We talk about inclusivity. You know, not everyone wants a big shabam party, and it says this through the resource. It gives you ideas on how to connect to those individuals who don't, or who maybe are cared for in their rooms. Please have a read of Lizzie's activity idea, because a big shout out to you, Lizzie. It is fantastic.
Brilliant. I think where, you know, the birthday, it's a really good example of this. I mean, this is what we do, but because this is just being launched this week, I think, you know, we want to reassure you that if you ask us for something, we will do our best to create it. And I think we really talked at great length about celebrating birthdays. We know not everybody likes to celebrate birthdays. There's an acknowledgement of that in the resource. We talk quite a bit in the resource about how do you respond to people who don't like birthdays for all sorts of reasons. You know, that inclusive approach, making sure that there is an acknowledgement of that, and you support people through that as well. And that might be because for religious reasons, as well as personal kind of reasons around their past and experiences of birthdays. So although it's very much a joyful resource, it is about celebration, there is information in there as well about how to support people who can't or don't, for all sorts of reasons, celebrate birthdays. But yes, there's a bonus pack, isn't there, with lots of...
I was just going to give a shout out, because Jana's just showing that. Can I just give a shout out as well?
Please do.
As with these bundles that NAPA are creating, that you're asking for, you ask, we're responding. So we create bundles, and so you've got the main birthday pack, then you've got a bonus pack with things like bunting, templates for activity boards, conversation cards. You've also got the birthday planner. We put in a planner so that if you're planning a celebration and God forbid something happens, you can't get in work that day, everything's there to hand over, you know, shared communication again, conversation, and a list so you know where you're up to, because sometimes there's like 60 people living in a care service. That can be a lot of birthdays in one day. And
Absolutely.
then the birthday planner. So we've also incorporated an area where you can list everyone's birthdays as well, including staff. Mustn't forget them, and volunteers. So it's huge. This birthday bundle is absolutely huge. And keep asking, we'll keep creating.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Natalie. We are very pleased with it, aren't we? And I think one of the things that you know is really evident in that is that this is about everybody's experience. This is about making sure that everyone's involved in these celebrations, but also I think recognises the importance of teamwork, working with your kitchen to make sure, you know, all of those essential elements of a good birthday and a good celebration are all in there as well, aren't they? So this resource is, of course, available for non-members too. You can buy it in the shop, but for members, it's free in the shed. So keep an eye out, because that will be with you very, very soon. I think we're probably almost out of time. Lovely to hear. Sally Harrison Exton, fantastic comment. I've got to shout out to Sally. Lovely to see you here, Sally. Sally is the head of wellbeing at Maria Malaban Care Group. She's just popped in the chat. Just amazing the amount of resource that is now available from NAPA. Thank you, Sally. That is really lovely to hear. We know we're doing the right thing then. Thank you. So thank you very much. Thank you to Natalie for joining me. Please keep chatting to each other, chatting to us. It's our National Day of Conversation and Connection, but as we've said, you know, it's part and parcel of activity provision. Conversation and connection is what binds us to each other, but it is the absolute foundation of quality activity and engagement. So, you know, we wanted to highlight that today, but it is a priority every day. So thank you, Natalie, for your time. Please keep in touch with Natalie. Give her a call on the support line. Drop her a line in the Facebook group. Come along to the Support and Share Network. She would love to see you, hear from you. A couple of announcements, NAPA announcements, as always, at the end of Tea Tuesday. The September calendar is out, as we mentioned, and it's available for free download. Please have a look at it. Tell us what you think. And October, in celebration of Black History Month, will be out very, very soon. The managers and the planning guides are now available to purchase, the second editions, in the NAPA shop, as is the brand new birthday resource. We have a number of training dates coming up. Dates for your diary. Head over to Eventbrite and have a look on there, and we really, really hope that you will join us next week for our Tea Tuesday National Day concert for afternoon activity tea week. We might have a winner, I think, or two winners potentially for the concert tickets. I think Sally definitely gets one, don't you, for that comment? So Sally, we will make sure that you get a free concert ticket. Thank you very, very much. Anybody else out there? Gianna, can you let us know if there's anybody else that would like a ticket? And drop us a line and we will get those over to you as soon as possible. So other than that, it has been an absolute delight to chat to you, Natalie, this afternoon. I get to work with Natalie every day, aren't I lucky? And to chat to her every day, connect with her every day. Thank you, Natalie, for your advice, your expertise, as always. Thank you to everybody who's joined us this afternoon. Please share this. It's a live event, but it keeps on sharing on these channels, which is just amazing. Share it with your colleagues. Watch again. Come back and see us on the 20th of September for the next episode of Tea Tuesday, when we will be celebrating arts in care homes, and I will have a panel of arts practitioners, experts in arts practice, who are going to talk to me. We're going to explore the international perspective on arts in care homes. But for now, I think we need to stop. We're over time. Thank you, Natalie. Take care, everybody. Bye for now. Bye-bye.